Cry of the Ocean. Before we show you the communication tanks, I'll answer any questions you have so far about our work here at Poseidon Labs, the tour guide said. A small group of awestruck college students waved their hands in the air, hoping to learn more about the fields of oceanography and electronic communication, which they were beginning to study. How do you edit out signals from animals that have been eaten by other animals? Brett wanted to know. Does technology exist to modify animals genetically instead of implanting beacons? Kara asked. Are the animals aware that we can understand them? Nurhari inquired. The tour guide held up his hand to halt the onslaught of questions. I see that a pod of orcas has come into the area. Let's take a quick look, then I'll come back to your questions and the communication tanks. The captain of their submarine maneuvered to another part of the open sea. There, the students observed several orca whales feeding on fish. As the students already knew, orcas often worked together to round up schools of fish, then took turns feeding. It was incredible to watch these intelligent mammals cooperate so flawlessly. On the way back to the communication tanks, the tour guide answered many questions and explained the technology that was allowing humans to understand animal thoughts. For many decades, scientists have known that orcas use different sounds to communicate basic ideas to each other. Thanks to the latest technological breakthroughs, we can now translate their more nuanced thoughts. We've even begun to reverse the process to communicate back with the whales. Let's take a look. The submarine pulled alongside a giant cone-shaped structure submerged in the ocean. It was one of several that formed a small city in the sea. Through large windows, the students could see a diver submerged in a water-filled section of the structure. He did not react at all to their presence, but continued with what appeared to be meditation. Dr. Carlson has made the most amazing breakthroughs with the orcas. He is perfecting the ability to transmit his thoughts to the whales. He's made a connection with a female we call Kimri. Let's listen in and see what we can, and learn what we can, the tour guide said, flipping a few switches on the computer panel. The students fell silent as the submarine echoed with the sounds of water and distant whale echoes. Then they heard Dr. Carlson's voice, though he never moved his mouth. Kimri, he called gently. Come talk to me. I understand you, Kimri. What do you want to say to me? A few seconds of silence passed. A faint whistle of an orca was interrupted by a robotic voice from the computer. Land dweller, the computer translated. You ask, but you do not want to know. You hear, but you do not listen. The students in the submarine looked at one another in confusion, but the tour guide reassured them with a nod. It really was the whale speaking, through the translation of the computer, of course. Our ocean is dying, Kimri continued, and we are dying with it. The animals are choked out by oil that land dwellers spill here. Great churning islands of plastic trash threaten our lives. Our children are stolen from us, taken by land dwellers in ships never to be seen again. Despite the disturbing report from the orca, Dr. Carlson kept his focus. Teach us, Kimri, he communicated. Tell us how whales know when to migrate. You want more information, but you have no intelligence, Kimri answered. If you land dwellers do not change your ways, your information will be useless. There will be no ocean life left to study. Act now and learn later, if you truly care about the orcas. The tour guide nervously flipped some switches, and the audio from the communication tank ended. The stunned students looked from one another to Dr. Carlson to the tour guide. I think our time is up for today's tour, the guide said nervously. With a guilty shrug, he turned his attention to navigating the submarine back to the lab headquarters. After a long and thoughtful silence, Kara leaned toward Nahari. They might not be listening, but we certainly can, she said. If we want to have anything to study, we have to help protect ocean life. Nahari nodded, already shifting his future plans from conversation to conservation.